The Blast from Our Past Network.
Lock your doors, close your windows, turn out your lights, for chills and thrills await you. It's time for Podcasting After Dark with your hosts, Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer. Stay with a friend, say your prayers as grisly ghouls close in to seal your doom, and enjoy this bonus episode of Podcasting After Dark.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcasting After Dark. Co-host Corey here with another mini solo review. This time I am discussing Silent Night, Deadly Night, Part 4, Initiation. This one came out in 1990. It was directed by Brian Yuzna. And it features Clint Howard, and Neith Hunter, Tommy Hinkley, and Reggie Bannister, among other people, like Maud Adams. So I've been going through these Silent Night, Deadly Nights, so I'm trying to kickstart my holiday spirit and everything. And if you heard my mini review of Part 3, you'll know that movie didn't quite work, didn't quite get me into the holiday spirit. And I gotta say, this one is a huge step up from Part 3, but still like drastically behind Parts 1 and 2, especially Part 1. I love Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 1. Fantastic movie. Feels like Christmas if it's a Christmas movie. This one, right out of the gate, same problem I have with Part 3. It's filmed in SoCal. It's filmed in L.A., Actually, it was filmed in the springtime in L.A., and it doesn't feel like Christmas at all. And I know that Brian Yuzna didn't really want to focus on the Christmas aspect of things, for this film. And even like in the UK, this movie is released under the name Bug, straight to video. This one was. Because it's Brian Yuzna, though, it is still a lot more fun than Part 3. It has life to it that Part 3 had no life whatsoever. Like, no energy at all. This does. It just doesn't feel like Christmas energy. You know what I mean? This movie could have had any other name, like Bug, you know what I mean? And I think it would have been more successful in that regard. I don't know why this is even called Silent Night, Deadly Night. Obviously there is Christmas elements in it. It does take place on Christmas, or it gets to there. It's not like one day or anything, but it does get to there eventually. But it feels shoehorned in, and it wasn't necessary at all. But what this one does have is a lot of really cool effects by Screaming Mad George. Gross sort of bug effects, some interesting kills and some gore in it and everything. And he also does these cool like perceptive visuals where, like, if you look at something, like you look at these branches in a tree in a particular way from a particular perspective, they look like a face. And there's like cool things like that in the movie. The movie's doing some interesting stuff. It involves like a coven of witches trying to initiate the main character Kim into their coven, which is why, the movie's called Initiation. There's an amazing sex scene right at the beginning of the film. Like, it pretty much opens on it. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm here for, Great sex scene between Kim and Hank. And it starts out really strong. Reggie Bannister's in it pretty much right away. And then it kind of slows down a little bit. The film kind of slows down throughout the end of the first act and a little bit into the second act, and you meet basically the coven, and you meet Clint Howard's character, like this homeless guy. It's not really homeless, I guess. He's sort of being controlled by the coven and everything. He looks homeless, but he might not necessarily quite be homeless. Anyways, movie's kind of slow in the middle, but then it ramps back up, and it is a lot of fun. Unfortunately, Reggie Bannister's not in it too much, but I do like when he is in it, obviously. I like the main character. I like Kim, Neith Hunter. She has so much more life to her than the Part 3, than the protagonist of the last movie did. Man, that movie just unbelievably just no life, no energy to it whatsoever. This movie has an energy to it. And the funny thing is, I probably would have been so much harsher on this film, on part 4, Initiation, if I hadn't like literally watched part 3 the night before. You know, if I had seen part 3 years ago and then maybe I watched this, I probably would be coming into this review a much, much harsher. But this movie is so much more fun compared to part 3. You know, it's hard not to compare the two. I do like the journey that the main character, the protagonist, Kim, is on. You know, she's a reporter who is trying to get her career going and everything, and she's facing the very stereotypical, you know, men in her life, her boyfriend not really supporting her, her boss not really supporting her. And, you know, she really wants to get ahead. She wants to be like this, you know, a real honest investigative journalist. And, you know, the movie is obviously, it's written by men, and it's you know, it's obviously like directed by a man and everything. So it obviously has a particular point of view, but it is trying, I think, to say something about the trials and tribulations that a professional female has to go through. Now it's doing it in very stereotypical manner and everything. You can sort of see everything coming. Obviously, it's not breaking new ground or anything, but when she finally has like the initiation process happen to her, things turn around for her in her professional life as well. There's a connection there, which is, you know, that's interesting to see, although she kind of at that point rejects things because, you know, she doesn't want to be a part of this coven. It's the movie. This Kim character has almost no control over her destiny at all until the end of the film. You know, men control her in life, and she kind of like has no say on joining the coven. They almost bring her in without her say. So it's almost like this character has just no control, no agency over herself. But when she finally does stand up for herself at the end, that is kind of what makes it, you know, a bit more rewarding than part 3, which has just no redeeming qualities whatsoever. So Silent Night, Deadly Night, part 4, Initiation, directed by Brian Yuzna. Huge step up from part 3. Still so far away from part 1 and part 2, and I still enjoy part 2. I know, you know, part 2 gets a bad rap. It is silly. It's, you know, not as Christmassy as part 1. But, you know, go back and listen to our proper review, which I believe was last Christmas, and Zach and I had a lot of fun with that movie. It's an interesting film because a lot of it is also a retelling of the first movie and everything, which also has a little bit in part 3. None of that in this movie. The only connection this movie even has is Clint Howard watching a scene from part 3 on TV. Kind of like, so it makes this movie almost like Halloween 3, where it's not connected, it's not even in the same reality as Halloween 1 and 2. So this movie's almost not even in the same reality as Silent Night, Deadly Night, parts 1, 2, and 3. It's very much like a Halloween 3 scenario. And if you go in with that expectation and that in mind, you know, I think you can have a lot of fun with this movie. It is fun. It is a much more fun film. I know people, actually, I've heard of quite a few people like this one the second best in the franchise. I still like part 2 in the franchise, probably second best. It's so zany. It's so much fun. But nothing can compare to part 1. Silent Night, Deadly Night, part 1 is so goddamn good. You know, the soundtrack, it's got one of the best holiday soundtracks, original songs for a slasher horror movie. It's so much better than it has any right to be. I listen to The Warm Side of the Door every year at Christmas time. I play it for my mother. She has no idea where it's from, what that song is from. And I'm like, it's from a slasher film from the 80s that got like banned. It's like one of the worst, you know, considered at the time one of the like worst slasher films ever made. You know, everyone was up in arms against it, and yet that soundtrack just goes so fucking hard. And here we are, you know, part 4 in 1990, and we are just so far removed from the Christmas theme. You know, even in part 3, Ricky doesn't even freaking, Billy doesn't even put on the Santa suit in part 3, so they're already stepping away from it. I do plan on watching part 5 probably tonight, so you'll get a review of that as well. And then I do plan on still seeing the remake in the theater and hopefully getting a review of that out as well. Another mini review, hopefully before Christmas. So I'm really trying, guys and gals. I'm really trying to get into the Christmas spirit this year. We're like 2 weeks into the December. I just put up Christmas decorations last night. So it's been a little bit of a rough year in that regard, finding the Christmas, spirit, the Christmas mood. I did watch Black Christmas again last night, and that kind of also got me back in the mood. So I'm getting there, but these Silent Night, Deadly Night films are not, not doing it for me in that regard. But in the regard of being a fun film, Initiation Part 4 is infinitely more fun than Part 3. So I definitely enjoyed this one, and I hope you guys, hope you guys enjoyed this mini review. There's not much more to say about it. Cool effects, decent amount of nudity, decent amount of sex scenes, effects by Screaming Mad George. Kind of looks like a Brian Yuzna film, which I like. I can't quite put my finger on what makes a Brian Yuzna film look the way it does, but I can see it here, and I like it. So yeah, this one's a good one, and I don't think I like it as much as Part 2, but it's still very enjoyable. Hopefully, I'll go into Part 5. Hopefully, Part 5 will really stick the landing for me with these sequels before getting into the remake. And I do know there's a 2012 remake as well, just called Silent Night, I think. I probably will try to watch that as well, but since it does not have the full name, I feel okay not trying to watch it, as a part of this spree that I'm going on, So we'll see. I'll think about it. I'll see if I can square it in, but I really only have 1 week left before we fly back to Maryland for my mom for Christmas, to see my mom for Christmas. So I don't know if I'll be able to get that one in, but I'll definitely get in Part 5 and definitely get in the remake. So hope you guys enjoy this mini review, and I hope you guys, if you like what you hear, go check out our Patreon page. Zach and I have a lot of fun over there. We have a show called Auteur de Force, where we cover a different auteur each month. Every month we cover a new film in their filmography, but once we're done with one auteur, we move on to another. So we covered all of John Carpenter's films, one a month in order that they came out. Then we went on to Don Coscarelli. Now we're almost done with William Lustig, and after that, I think we're toying with the idea of Larry Cohen. Not sure yet. We'll figure it out. But yeah, we cover an auteur. We go through their entire filmography in order that the movies came out. We don't break the movies down like we do on the main show, but we do try to discuss them in like how they fit into an auteur's overall filmography, like how each movie sort of fits into that filmography, if it feels like, the auteur created it, type of thing. We're having a great time with William Lustig. It's been a lot of fun going through the Maniac Cop series and everything like that. So yeah, check that out if you're interested. Patreon, that's our $5 tier. And thanks for everybody out there who supports the show. You guys are freaking awesome, especially, even if you just leave a 5-star review on Spotify, it's great. So, but all right, guys and gals, I'm off to watch Part 5 and see how that one holds up. And ho, 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 we'll catch you on the dark side, little Timmy.
Be sure to subscribe to Podcasting After Dark on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. You can support the show by joining our Patreon page, picking up a t-shirt from our merch store, or leaving us a 5-star review. Follow us on Instagram at Podcasting After Dark. All links can be found on our website at www.podcastingafterdark.com. And join us next time for another cult movie or TV show review with Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer.